Top of the morning folks, today from the Reddit Rainforest. What is the dumbest thing you have ever done while high? Stood in an elevator for about 5 minutes before realizing that no one pressed any buttons. I walked into a fast food place, made a huge order, I got all my food and drink, sat my food on a table, and went to use the bathroom. Then I walked out and went home and did not realize what I did for at least 2 hours. I had something similar happen to me. Got a new strain that hit really hard and made me hungry, so I decided to order pizza. Pizza arrived and I went to the sink to wash my hands and grab plates. But on the way to the kitchen I pulled my phone out to check for texts. I turned around and went back to my couch empty-handed. I sat there for about an hour watching Futurama before noticing how insanely hungry I was. I totally forgot about the pizza sitting on my counter, but I did find the coupon sheet it came with, so I ordered more pizza. I threw my socks in the trash instead of the laundry basket. Twice. They were not even in the same room. That's okay, I threw them in the toilet once. How? I had something that I wanted to throw in the toilet in my left hand and the socks in my right. You can imagine the rest. Listening to music with headphones for an hour before realizing the headphones were not even plugged in and I was just blasting it through my phone. Please tell me this was in public. Thankfully no. But it was at like 2 AM in my apartment and I received complaints the next morning. Using my phone as a light to look for my phone. In the middle of a board game, I stood up to get another beer, a few feet from the game table, but had to remove the gallon of milk from the fridge to get the beer. I picked up the jug and matched eyes with a non-high friend of mine. For some reason thought it'd make him laugh by pretending to pour the milk on my head. The cap was not on the jug properly. My friend watcher stoned me took a gallon of milk and poured it on my head. Everyone was just as confused as I was as there was no rhyme or reason for any of it. My explanation for why it happened was not very valid. My friend and I were into cooking high for a while. Got high, cooked ourselves the biggest meal possible, and eat with a good movie. Well, one evening we decide to go for the biggest lasagna ever. Everything is super tasty. We layer the malarkey out of that lasagna in a deep ceramic dish. Is that the term? In the oven for some minutes. Very high temperature. Something like 40 minutes and a joint later. I go to the oven. Smell the tasty deliciousness emanating from it. And it seems to be perfect. I put an oven mitt on my left hand. Open the oven door. And full on grab the dish with my right hand. My first thought. Do not let go and break it. Put it down calmly. I mean, I could have let go immediately and broken the dish. That would have been annoying but not painful. Or set the dish back on the tray and switched hand. You know. Small burn. You're an idiot. Live on. But no. I decided to keep that lava hot dish in my unprotected hand for a few seconds. And I could, too, if I pull the same stunt while sober. I'm guessing I'll just let go by reflex. Without even thinking. But no. I could clearly think, okay. Do not break anything. Set it down on the counter and get some water. Dumbest. I earned the biggest visible scar I'll, hopefully, ever have. A malarkey load of pain for a few days. And the best oven related story in my life. Not the best weed related story though. But that's for another thread. To sum it up. Cooking a lasagna. I put an oven mitt on my left hand. Grabbed the dish with my right hand. And decided not to risk breaking the meal and hold on to it. Turn the TV down to taste food easier. I don't know about dumbest, but the most memorable experience of being high was this time a friend brought over weed gummy bears. They were pretty powerful, so we're all very high sitting in my front room and somebody suggests we do nose. So we set up the balloons and for some reason decide to put the Pirates of the Caribbean music on my TV while we do it. So I pass the remote to my friend who said sit up and we start the music and do the balloons. I do not really remember what happened, but we were ducked. When I came back to myself I realized that my TV had been turned to maximum volume. And this is one that you only ever need at around 15 or so when it goes to 100. I was worried my neighbors would get pissed, so turned to my friend who set it up and told him to turn down the TV like now. He just stared back at me and went, "Do you have the remote?" And so I did. Apparently it sat there turning up the volume, chuckling and saying it's Pirates. I was scrolling through my phone settings to find some music. That's not as funny as your comments, but that thing confused me. Saw a huge spider on the wall and decided the best way to kill it was with a straight leg lunge. I put a gigantic hole in the wall and I have no idea what happened to the spider. poured myself a nice bowl of Coca-Cola. I once ate Cocoa Puffs with Dr. Pepper instead of milk. Half a year ago I was invited to a birthday party. The party was in the center of a small town in the youth center and we were pretty loud the whole time. At around 1 PM we went on the roof of the building and started to smoke some joints. In the country I live in it's illegal to own weed, so it wasn't the smartest move. Right when we finished and dropped the joint on the ground, we were now in the yard. Some policemen came over. Me and all the other guys who smoked went inside. The police came in and asked which one of us was smoking outside. I was high at the time and thought, if I answer all their question they would eventually let us continue. Because we hid the weed and they had no proof except the smell. So I went outside with them. My friend standing a few meters away to hear the talk. Police officer 1. What were you doing? Me. We were smoking a cigarette. PO1. Why did you take turns? Me. Because it was the last we had. PO1. And why are your eyes so red? Me. I'm tired. Everyone understood that they were just trying to intimidate me. After that they wanted to go. But I don't know why. Maybe I found the situation funny. But I started giggling like an idiot. They came back and asked me again. PO2. Are you in possession of drugs? Me. If I had any drugs, would you be interested in buying them? That's when hell went loose. My friends shocked faces. The police officers dragging me to the side threatening me with arrests and other things. And me immediately realizing what I have done. The police eventually realized that I was just an idiot trying to be cool, so they went away. But I just felt like an idiot that night. Thought I lost my 3D vision, so walked around touching things to make sure they were still 3D. I once went into an old railway tunnel in a small town in the UK to have an adventurous smoke. It was huge and deep underground and ran for at least 5 miles. We climbed in and explored and were greeted by a farmer with a rifle on our way out who claimed it was private property, prone to caving in ... and covered in dangerous mold. The idea of being caved into a deep underground tunnel where no one would ever find us was terrifying. Explore underground tunnels unless you know they are safe. I get fairly paranoid when I smoke. Once I was smoking with a coworker and his roommate, and I realized I was very high. My first thought was I cannot let them know I'm high. I realized shortly after that they were also high, so thusly I could not let them know how high I was. The logical course of action was to walk an hour home. On the way home I was going to stop at Tim Hortons and get a coffee to try and balance me out. As I approached the door I realized they may notice I'm high and inform the authorities. So I left. I saw a cop car go past and decided they were looking for me. I go to my bed and lay down mentally preparing for my life as a fugitive, only to realize I'm in my late 20s. Pot is legal in Canada, and the people I was smoking with would not have cared that I was super high. My friend and I were high while switching classes in high school. I started moving my arms in a circular motion, and I told her I feel like a train. She walked behind me, doing the same thing, and we were both whispering chugga chugga chugga. Coincidentally, this was also the last time I smoked. Good times. On vacation in California with my brothers and some friends, and we were all helping make dinner. It was some Bombers bacon mac and cheese. My job was to chop up the bacon. Well, I ate 2 edibles at the beginning of dinner prep, and by the time the bacon was done in the oven, I was the one fully baked. I spent an eternity tearing the bacon into tiny pieces by hand and complaining how hot it was the whole time. Only when I was finished did somebody suggest I should have used a knife. Back in the day I used to read a lot. This was before phones were very good. Now I read Reddit a lot instead of books. I had been reading for a while that day and was over halfway through this great paperback novel. I went to get something from the kitchen, and when I came back I could not find my book. I looked everywhere and just could not find it. I was so bummed. It did not turn up that day. It was like 3 days later that I went to the kitchen for some ice and opened the freezer. There was my book in the freezer door. I had a round wooden cutting board, and because of the shape, I confused it for my ceramic pizza stone. Didn't realize it until I smelled something burning from the living room, and then I was like, wait ... was that ... wood that I put that pizza on? Trying to text my brother where my phone was. 4 of us walk through the local McDonald's drive-thru in our invisible car. We got refused. The funny part was when my mate went inside after to get his food, he said to the server that we just got refused in our invisible car, and she went and got the manager. Took a couple of minimums for they to notice what he was actually complaining about. I was stuck in a bathroom for half an hour because someone locked the door. It was me. I locked the door from the inside. My buddy asked me to help him and his mom move some malarkey around in their house. After he smoked me up, I tried to take an ACK unit out of the window without opening the window. I struggled with it for literally 20 seconds right in front of his mom until she came over and opened the window for me. I could not do anything but smile and says thanks. My time to shine. I tried to convince myself that I could ride a bike without touching the pedals. Ended up catching my foot in the gears and getting an 1-inch long cut on my ankle. Would not recommend. In college, me and my roommates all got super baked. Walked to the grocery store and bought a fresh coconut to use in something we were baking. We got it all the way home and realized we had no idea how to open a coconut. We tried hitting it with a hammer, sawing it with a steak knife and just banging it on the table. Finally, we got a clean tarp from our artist roommate, laid it out on the sidewalk outside, went up to the roof, and threw the coconut onto the ground. It burst open, and we all cheered. It was only when I looked down and saw a neighbor staring at us that I realized how dumb we looked. I was too proud to care. I did not let it erode my sense of victory. When I was 16, I worked at a Mexican place that was set up exactly like Chipotle. It was called Cilantro Mexican Grill. One of the guys I worked with brought in some extra special cornbread and gave me some dot. This was my first time indulging in edibles, and like many others I thought I had not taken enough and asked for another piece. About 20 minutes after the second piece I was rolling a customer's burrito when the phone rang. I answered the phone with the common line, "Cilantro Mexican Grill, how may I help you?" To my surprise, the phone rang again, and I came to the realization that I was so high I had forgotten to actually pick up the phone. It goes without saying the customer I was serving looked at me with utter confusion but said nothing. I came up with an awesome rap song, so I wrote that malarkey down. Son. When I found it the next morning, it was so stupid that I burned the paper, and over the next few days, I contemplated how stupid someone would have to be in order to think that was good in any way, let alone awesome enough to actually write down. And that was one of a few things that led to me quitting drugs altogether, almost 25 years ago now. The first time I got high, I had to ride home on my bicycle. I was so certain that my bicycle was flying and I was not the one controlling it that I rode past every red light. Good thing it was night and I lived in a small town. I did just the opposite, got high, went for a bike ride, and spent a good 5 minutes stopped at a stop sign, waiting for it to change. Unfortunately, that is all there is for this video, but do not worry, there are many more coming. Like and subscribe for more videos from the Reddit Rainforest. Thanks for watching.